Hello everybody and welcome back to the podcast. If you're new here, my name is Amber and I am the host of To Be Candid, which is why you're here today. And today we're going to be talking about ways I make the most of each day, or just fun things I do to make each day a little bit special, and I guess romanticize my life. And I use that term kind of lightly because I don't really like it, because I think a lot of times people talk about romanticizing your life in these huge gestures like go traveling more or spend half an hour meditating every day, and I think in a lot of cases that's just not realistic for everyone. Like me personally, I have a 9-to-5 job 5 days a week, but I know a lot of people work like back-to-back jobs or don't have necessarily that extra income to be able to go on holiday or have the extra time to spend on all these things. So hopefully you'll find that some of these things are super practical, some are even free, some minimal, just little changes or switch ups to hopefully your routine that you have, and just little things you can do to make them a little bit more special and help romanticize your life without, breaking the bank or having to quit your job or anything like that. Because I think it's really important now more than ever, since we're like coming out of lockdown, some people are still in lockdown. It's just really important to try and make the most of each day, because I think it can really turn into Groundhog Day a bit and you can kind of get a bit bogged down by it all. So I'm trying to come up with some ways to keep you guys happy. These things definitely help me, and I've literally written down like my full day routine and just some tweaks and adjustments I've made here and there, which I've really been loving recently, so I hope you like them too. I think I'm just gonna dive straight into it, and if we have time at the end I'll do a little life update. We'll switch it around. Usually I do the life updates at the start, but I really want to share these tips with you. So starting off, I think just taking you through my day step by step. I wake up with one alarm and I like spring out of bed. Now I know that's not something everyone can do, but for me personally, I'm a morning person, so it works. And I think having the right alarm is so important. I have personally changed my alarm recently just to be a vibration sound, and I've customized the vibration, which I didn't know you could do on iPhone, but apparently you can. And I've done it to the song I Love You Baby, just because I really like that song. It's kind of fun. It reminds me of 10 Things I Hate About You, and I love that film. And it just means when I wake up, A, it's a bit gentler because it's just vibrations, and B, it's like a fun vibration that I've made. So even that is just a bit more special than if it was just like the blaring iPhone default alarm or whatever. And I try and get up on the first alarm, which I am pretty good at, just because my brain very rarely lets me fall back to sleep after I've heard the first alarm. I'm up, my brain is running, so I try and like get out of bed pretty soon after my alarm goes off. And then this is a very recent morning routine that I've been doing consistently for about a week or two now, and I've really been enjoying. So the first thing I do is I head to the bathroom to do my skincare routine, and that can already sound like a bit, I don't know, like glamorous. I'm using quote unquote marks. Definitely not. Everyone has a skincare routine nowadays, but I never did. And the idea of having a skin routine always really intimidated me and kind of overwhelmed me. And I was always like, I don't have enough time in the mornings to be able to do a skin routine. But I've just been waking up 5 minutes earlier, and I've set out all my skincare so it looks like it's in a shop, like all the labels are pointing forwards. It's all lined up really nicely. Like buying skincare with cute packaging is always nice as well. But if you can't necessarily like afford the brands or whatever, and you just have like the shops bought ones, which is totally fine. I've done that for so many years, but you just think the packaging is a bit meh. You can always get like cute refillable bottles off Amazon and Etsy and things like that have cute designs, which are sometimes like £1 or £2, and you can just fill those bottles with them instead, just so it's a bit more aesthetically pleasing. It feels a little bit different, switches up your day. It's the first thing you're going to look at, so you want it to be nice, and I try and keep that really organised. And what I've also done is I've bought a little like towel fluffy headband off of Etsy, which I use to put my hair out of my face because I have a fringe and bangs and it can get very messy very quickly. But also it makes me feel like I'm in a little bit of a salon, and I keep the lights down low, and it's just like 10 minutes where I just get to be by myself, do my skincare, which I don't know if you're watching this on YouTube or podcast listeners, but I do have currently a zit, so my skincare we're still working through it, but it's nice to have those 10 minutes just to myself where I can feel like I've had a little bit of a pamper session just from buying those few different items, or like a little headband, which was not expensive at all. I think it was like maybe £5, but you can definitely find ones cheaper than that, and it just makes you feel a little bit more glamorous. The next thing I do is I go ahead and pick an outfit, and I like to make sure my cupboards and my wardrobe is organized, because it just makes finding outfits way easier, but also I think it's the same as like lining up my products. Like, it feels a bit like a shop experience, and it's just nice and efficient, and you can see all the colors lined up. My wardrobe currently is a hot mess, and I'm going to be spending all day on Monday, bank holiday, deep cleaning my house, which I'm really looking forward to. But usually I like it to be clean and organised. I think it just makes life so much simpler, and especially when it's first thing in the morning. You don't want to be like rushing around trying to find that top or trying to find that jumper which you can't find or whatever. Like, it's just a nightmare and kind of stresses me out, honestly. So having an organised cupboard, again, is just a free way that you can like romanticize your life a little bit by opening up your cupboards and having this glorious stream of clothes, or glorious lined up clothes in colour order or what have you. I also have a light in the inside of my wardrobe. We got our wardrobe from IKEA, and it was just like one of the installments. I don't think it was super cheap. I think it was like maybe £15, but it's just an LED strip that goes at the top of your wardrobe. Again, just makes me feel I'm like in a bit of a store, in a shop somewhere. And when I'm first thing in the morning, my boyfriend's still asleep, I don't have to put the lights on to find what's in my wardrobe, which is also really handy. In terms of what outfit I choose, I went through a real phase. I was a nanny for a while, and I went through a real phase of just wearing clothes that I could get messy and I didn't care about, but that just put me in a bit of a bad mood for the rest of the day. So what I try and do now is pick out a fun, colourful outfit that I feel good in, because I am unfortunately one of those people that when I like my outfit, I just feel better about myself, and I'm nicer to other people somehow. I think because I like what I'm wearing, I feel pretty, I feel confident, and then I kind of exude that out to other people. Whereas if I'm wearing an outfit I feel a bit gross in, it's likely I'm going to snap at people a bit more. So choosing something cute and fun is just a great way, again, to kind of switch up your day. Maybe you'll get a compliment from someone on a Zoom call, maybe your partner or family member will say you look good, or maybe you just feel a bit better about yourself. But choosing a cute outfit is definitely an easy way to do that. Then I go ahead and go downstairs to start the rest of my morning routine, and the thing I love the most is opening the blinds in the morning. I always make sure I have a bunch of flowers on my windowsill, so opening up that blind in the morning, letting the morning light stream in and just seeing those flowers, it's just a really good part of my day. It makes me very happy that it's morning time. I can look forward to the rest of the day, and it's just something that kind of like brightens up the room, I guess. I then do the washing up, which I know is not going to sound very glamorous or like I'm romanticising my life, but it gives me that sense of achievement very early in the day. So before I've like drunk anything, eaten anything, done any of that, I've literally just put my skincare routine, to put an outfit on and done the washing up. But because I've like already ticked something off of my to-do list, I feel great, and it's like keeps my kitchen a bit cleaner, which I love, being able to go down into the kitchen in the middle of the day to make lunch or whatever, and there's not stuff all over the place. So I usually will pick up a few things, do some washing up, and I just feel that sense of accomplishment, which I really love. And I will listen to a podcast. I think this is the most important thing, is like I want to say making a soundtrack for your life, but I always think you have to think of your life as a movie, right? You're the main character. That's the most important thing to remember. And you should treat yourself like the main character. But also in movies, they have soundtracks. And everything seems a bit better and more fun or more dramatic or sadder or happy or whatever with the right music. And I think that goes for day-to-day life. So I like to listen to a podcast whilst I'm doing the washing up. It's just a bit of entertainment, but also makes me feel like it's not wasted time, I guess, because I'm learning something, or not talking. I always feel like I'm talking to someone when I listen to a podcast. I like conversational podcasts, I guess. So that's a really great way. Or you can make a playlist. Again, these are all free ways that you can switch up your routine a little bit. But for me personally, I'm jumping ahead, but I've made a morning playlist for when I'm doing the first few hours of work at my desk. And it just puts me in a good headspace for the rest of the day, because they're songs I really enjoy and are a bit upbeat, and they can kind of set the tone of my workspace and my mindset whilst I'm doing that work. Whereas if I was going to listen to like heavy rock or, I don't know, really sad love songs, it could probably change my mood very quickly. So I think that's a really fun way to be able to like curate your mood almost in certain situations. Then I will go ahead and make a cup of coffee, and I know this can seem super generic, like everyone in the world probably makes a cup of something in the morning, but if you make it a bit more of a ritual, I think it's way more enjoyable. So if you choose a favourite mug, and if you don't have a mug, go find a favourite mug. They are so cheap in the charity shops, they're like 50p for a mug, and me and my household, we found some really great cutlery and crockery from the charity shops, so definitely check them out. Or even like make one if you wanted to, like buy some clay, make your own mug if you wanted like a really quirky one that you've seen on Pinterest, but it's like $70 because I've been there. But I always choose a favourite mug, and I like to be really like methodical, I guess, with my coffee making routine, in the sense that I'm super intentional about it, and I'm really in the moment when I do that, just so I kind of ground myself a bit whilst I'm making my coffee. Again, it just turns it into more of a ritual and makes it a bit more interesting than if I was just like pouring a cup of joe, you know? I then go upstairs to start work. I usually start work like 9:15, 9:30, and the first thing I do is make my bed, because by that time my boyfriend's probably got out of it, and pull open the curtains in my bedroom and clean my workspace. Now, if you were to look at my desk right now, you would not be able to tell that I did that, because it's currently 12:51 and I've got my breakfast bowl, I've got a tape measure, I've got my coffee mug, I've got my water mug, I've got some crochet yarn. Like, it's a hot mess over here. But in the mornings, I like to undo that from the previous day. So I will clean up my desk, make it all straight and perfect and nice, picture perfect desk, pick up some clothes off of the floor, put stuff in the washing basket if it needs to go in the washing basket, and that way I can kind of sit down at my desk with a clearer mind, a fresher mind, and just get started. And it means that when I have Zoom calls, I don't have weird stuff lurking in the background, and it also just means I have a bit of a clearer headspace for when I do have those stressful times at work, where I can just really concentrate without being distracted by stuff on my desk or things falling or anything like that. In terms of my desk itself, I spend a lot of time here. I spend like 8 hours, 7 hours a day here. So I try and make it a fun space, which again, I think is so important, because it is just those tweaks that can really elevate your space, that will either put you in a different headspace or help you romanticize it a bit more and make it a place you want to be. So I have a cute lamp, which I got for £3 off of Facebook Marketplace. I've got some cute notebooks. Like, it's so easy to buy a generic notebook from Tesco, but I've got some really cute printed notebooks that I just found off of Etsy for super cheap, and I think they were like £4 each, so not much more expensive than the Tesco ones would be, but they're just so much more fun and colourful. I've got a colourful journal on here, which I do like my gratitude journal in the morning. Again, I just write like 3 points down. I don't do anything too dramatic because I don't have time. But I also have a cute water bottle, which is like blue and pink, and just some really colourful things. I also made myself a pen pot out of clay, because you can get air dried clay for like £3, I think, online, and you don't have to cure it or anything. You literally just like mould it into the shape you want, leave it for like 48 hours, and then you can paint it whatever colour with some acrylic paints. I got them really cheap from like the store down the road, and I can just paint it up whatever colour I want. So I've got a white and black checker wobbly pen holder. But again, it just switches up my space a little bit, and is something I've personally done. It adds another colour in there, means something a bit more sentimental than perhaps a store-bought pen holder would. So yeah, all different things that you can do to kind of switch up your space a little bit. Then when I finally get into my emails, I think it's important to romanticize your work life as well as your personal life, or your life out of work, because you spend a lot of time there, and it can seem really hard to do because you don't really have much control over your work unless you are self-employed. But for me personally, I work for a corporation, like a London company, so there's not much I can do in terms of like, oh well, I'm going to do this at this time and this at this time, because I have calls and meetings scheduled in for me. Like, there's not a lot of wiggle room, but there are some things you can do just to like elevate it a little bit. So for me personally, as soon as I get into my emails, I like to categorize them all with the categorize feature on Outlook, and you can choose cute colors to do that. So each email concerning different projects has its own color, so then my inbox looks cute and organized. I file them all away into separate folders, so again, cute and organized. And I also have a kind of like to-do list spreadsheet. It's more of a spreadsheet, but with like different steps of each project that I have to tick off, and that is colour coordinated to the nine. But instead of like green, red, yellow or whatever, I've chosen cute pastel colours because it's my personal spreadsheet. No one else, no higher ups are going to see it. It doesn't really matter what colours I use as long as I know what they mean. And it means when I look at it, it's kind of aesthetically pleasing. It makes me want to fill it in faster, change the colours and all of those kind of things. So it just helps switch up my mindset a little bit. Rather than looking at like a super overwhelming, dull spreadsheet, I get one that's super cute. I also go and see my boyfriend periodically throughout the day, which I know not everyone can do, but as we're currently working from home, he literally works downstairs from me. I'm in my bedroom, he's in the lounge. So I can go in and pop in and say hello. And we hug a lot throughout the day, which I don't know if that's TMI or gross or mushy, but I think it's really important to have that human connection, I guess. Now, whether that is like chatting with your parents or hugging your dog or like, I don't know, saying hi to a neighbour down the street, whatever it is, I do think that's super important, especially like physical touch, which I know people can't always have nowadays, but I think it's so important. I remember going through uni and I was away from home for like 2 weeks, I think, which wasn't that long, but I asked my flatmate to give me a hug because I just hadn't touched another human in 2 weeks, and for me, I'd never experienced that before, so it was a really foreign feeling. But I do think it's really important for your mental health. You definitely get some kind of like chemical boost from being intimate or like hugging another person, so I would definitely prioritize that, and I do that throughout the day, which helps break up my day a little bit and it's just something nice. Then when it finally hits lunchtime, as in right now, 12:56 we're at, I try and do something for myself. It's very easy to get caught up with work and let the day run away from you, but I try and schedule in things in my calendar for me. So Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, I try to do a workout at lunch. I put on a killer playlist. I sweat my butt off for a good 20 minutes, 30 minutes max. And then I go have a lovely bubbly shower and I feel great afterwards. So that's one thing I do. Then on Tuesdays, I record my podcast, which I'm doing right now, but it's just fun. Like, I plan it the day before in the evenings and I get to talk to you guys and chat with you, which is so much fun. I always really enjoy it. And then on Thursdays, I film a video for my YouTube channel. So there are different things that I guess are productive, but also things that just I genuinely enjoy. So whether that is you want to do a workout or a yoga class at lunch, whether you want to go charity shopping at lunchtime, whether you want to go for a walk around the block or meet up with a friend to grab a coffee, whatever it is, try and really prioritize that. Like, your company gives you a lunch hour, or at least they should legally, I'm pretty sure. So schedule it in your work calendar. I just put busy for an hour, like 12:30 or 1 or whatever it is, and just schedule it in to really prioritize that. But it just helps break up your day so much, especially if you're doing different things on different days, so then you don't have that feeling of Groundhog Day where every day is the same. And that just really helps you kind of look forward to different things throughout the week, as well as just change up your week a little bit, change up your days, experience something different, do a bit of self-improvement, chat with friends, and just have a fun time. Then I think another thing I don't do enough, but helps really kind of like make my days a bit more interesting, is chatting to colleagues. Now, I have recently started my work. I started in February in lockdown, so I haven't actually met my colleagues in person, but we talk a lot in meetings, or like if I have a problem, I can ask them a question. There's like no worry there, but it's not often that we chat, casually, or like not about work, basically, because we're not in the cafeteria together. We're not having those water cooler chats as you would. But recently, some of me and my colleagues have been scheduling coffee catch-ups with each other, which just means we get half an hour, maybe on a Monday morning or a Wednesday morning, whatever it is, to call each other and not talk about work, which has been so nice. Again, it's just social interaction, and if you're not necessarily living with someone else or being able to see your friends every day, then I think chatting to your colleagues is a really great way to break up the day again, get to know your colleagues a bit better, and just get that boost off of socializing with people. I know that's not going to work for everyone, because some people are introverts, some people feel a bit drained after talking to a lot of people, but for me personally, I've really realized I do get a high off of being social, having people around me. I am quite an outgoing person, I guess, or I just really enjoy feeding off of other people's energy and things. So I've been really enjoying chatting to my colleagues a bit more, and I would definitely recommend you try and implement some coffee catch-ups if you can. I also think a fun way to romanticize your life is to do a craft. And this sounds kind of silly, but you see it all over Pinterest and things of like people painting, doing oil paintings or watercolors or what have you. And I think it's, again, just nice to take a bit of time for yourself. I know that's not always possible, but I think there's so many different ways you can do it. For me personally, I've taken up crocheting and I love it. Again, I think it's a sense of achievement, like I see a project come together. But I can also be super creative with it. I can make things that I actually want to use or gift to people, and it's just something I can do for me whilst I'm watching TV of something really generic, or I just have maybe 5 minutes before a meeting, I'm waiting for someone to get online, I can just do a little bit there and then. And if you want to do like some sketching on your bus to work, or if you're on the train home and there's a craft you could be doing, maybe it's just pinning things on Pinterest or making mood boards or what have you. There are so many different things and hobbies that you can pick up, and I think it's just a nice distraction from like the online world, which can get very intimidating, very overwhelming, and can kind of drag you down a dark spiral, which isn't the opposite of romanticizing your life, let's face it. So I think a craft is a really fun way to kind of switch up your day a bit, learn something new, maybe make something for a friend, and just have a bit of fun. I've also really been loving going on walks with my boyfriend. I don't do this nearly enough because usually at the end of the day I'm kind of done, and he'll be like, oh, do you want to walk to the shop? I'll be like, no, not really, which is honestly true. Like, the idea of going for a walk is kind of gross to me, but I always really enjoy it once I'm out, especially if it's still light out, if the sun's shining, just going for a walk around the block, going for a walk to grab a coffee, whatever it may be. Just with my boyfriend is so nice. It's a bit of quality time we can spend together, but whether you did want to do that, listening to a podcast or calling a friend, whatever it may be, obviously getting fresh air is so nice. I definitely feel it more when I'm in a proper countryside rather than walking around the neighbourhood, because that can become quite repetitive or like monotone if you don't switch it up every now and then. But I do think getting outside, getting some sun on your face is so important. I've been trying recently, or I had been trying recently, before all this rubbish weather that we got, to, when I was out in the day for whatever reason, like look up and put my face to the sun and just close my eyes for like 5 seconds. Didn't have to be anything long, but just try and really feel the sunshine on my face, just to kind of bring me back into the moment a little bit and just feel like the vitamin D soaking into my skin, which was so lovely. Obviously wear sunscreen, very important part of my skincare routine, but I do really think we should all prioritize going outside a bit more, especially than I do at least. So that's something I'm hopefully going to be doing more of as the sun continues to shine throughout the summer. But again, in a different way, you can just change up your environment a little bit. I think we're all spending so much time at home that it's nice to break that up with a bit of fresh air. Then as I move later on into the day, my work day is done. I'm very lucky in the sense that Christian cooks dinner, so that's kind of his field. I don't really do anything with that. I like buy the groceries, help him where I can, but usually he wants me out of the kitchen because our kitchen's kind of small. I kind of stress him out sometimes. I try and help and I'm not helping, so it's just better if I'm not in the kitchen. But I do the other parts, the behind the scenes. So like, I love our cutlery and the crockery and the plates that we have so much. We did find them in a charity shop. We also have some from Dunelm that I think were gifts, which is a really great way, because plates and things can get very expensive. So if you're moving into like your first home, see if people want to buy you like a housewarming present, or if you've got a birthday coming up. Kind of boring, but I love getting matching plateware, so you can always ask for some plates. And I think it's really nice. Again, it just elevates that moment. Like, you're gonna have to eat 3 meals a day, like that's just a thing you're gonna have to deal with. But if you're eating 3 meals a day on a cracked plate with cheap cutlery that you don't really like, spending like £2 or £3 more on like a nicer plate or a nicer fork, knife or whatever can really elevate that experience quite a lot. You can get the kind of like restaurant experience, if you like, the same with me in my bathroom pretending it's a spa, just for a little bit more, and you use them every day. I think that's the key to being able to elevate your everyday routine and romanticizing your life in a way, is to understand what things you use every day and how you can make that just like 10% more enjoyable. So I really love the knives and forks that we got some black ones off of Amazon. Again, just feels a little bit chicer than like the IKEA or Asda ones that we had before. I also try and keep the kitchen organised, but it's very hard. Again, on Monday when I have the bank holiday, I'm doing a deep clean and I'm going to be going through the kitchen. But I try and make sure like I know what everything is in each cupboard. Everything's kind of like pointing forward if it can be. Again, just giving me that store feeling. And it just means it's a bit nicer to be able to cook in because we don't have that much surface space. Then eating dinner, we like to eat at the table, which is a new thing. We've recently got a dining table. I really enjoy eating at the table just because it's something me and my family always did growing up, so I get that sense of like family tradition a little bit. I really like it. It feels a little bit nostalgic to me, like eating around a dinner table, but I try and make it an experience. I don't know if it's the event planner in me that just likes making an experience out of these things, but it would be so easy just to like slap the plate down on the table, eat our dinner and get on with the rest of our day. But I have very cute placemats that I put out to put our plates on, and I light some candles and I line up all the cutlery, again just so it feels like a little bit of like a bistro vibe, you know, just so it's a bit nicer to walk into and have your dinner at. I've also recently only exclusively been drinking out of a wine glass, which I had never done before, but having moved into our new apartment, we don't really have many glasses, like pint glasses or tumblers, I guess they're called. So I've been drinking out of a wine glass and I really love it. I just feel very fancy, and it's not necessarily that I've been drinking wine every night because I just can't handle that personally, but I've been having like pink lemonade with ice or ice water with lime, or what else have I been drinking? That's kind of it. Lemonade, I guess. I just put it in a wine glass and I feel a bit more fancier. It's a much more enjoyable experience because I really love my wine glasses. They're made out of like super thin glass, so it just feels fancy, you know, like I could drink pink lemonade out of the bottle if I wanted to, like who cares? But because I'm drinking it out of a wine glass, I just feel a little bit more special, so I enjoy that. Then usually me and Christian do our own thing before bed, and I just take it as a chance to like wind down or like reflect on the day. So usually I'll either watch some YouTube or watch TV downstairs, which at the moment is not very romanticized at all because we still haven't got a sofa yet, so I'm currently watching TV in my work chair, which is kind of depressing, so we'll skip past that. But reading a book in bed, I have like a row of books that I like to choose from. I flick between, like I think I'm flicking between 3 books at the moment. And I also have some extras when I finish those, and I love buying my books secondhand. I try and buy them from charity shops, but it's not been very possible recently, so I've been buying them from World of Books, I think it's called, and they have some really cheap secondhand books on there. I personally love reading secondhand books because when you fold over a page that's already been folded over by the previous owner, I love that. I don't know why, it just feels like you get the sense of like, oh, someone's been here before, do you know what I mean? Especially when you get like a self-help book or like a non-fiction book and they have made notes in the columns. I find that so special. So for me personally, I like buying secondhand books, but maybe for you, you prefer buying a new book and having that new book smell and being the first person to fold over a page or make notes in it. But just little things that you want to focus on, or like things you enjoy, just focus on that more. So I've really been enjoying that. A thing I love that me and Christian do is he always comes and says good night to me before I fall asleep. I usually go to sleep at about 11 o'clock, maybe 12 at a push. Christian usually falls asleep at like 2, 3, sometimes 4 if he's had a very late night. So he will come up and say goodnight to me, and he'll just lay with me for a little bit, and we'll have like some late night chats and hug for a bit, and then he'll go back to gaming or working or whatever he was doing downstairs. But again, it's just, I don't know, a really sweet moment that just marks that it's now time that I'm going to sleep and a time that we get to spend together. So maybe that is you FaceTiming a friend or journaling for a little bit, just something to like pinpoint that moment of after I've done this, I'm switching off, because it just helps with the routine of it, I guess, but it also just can be a really lovely moment, which otherwise you would have just rolled over and gone to sleep. Why not turn that little minute or two into something? So I guess for my tips in how to romanticize your life, maybe you've heard some things that I've been speaking about that's like, oh yeah, I could definitely do that so easily, like I have all the things to do that, or my my priorities align with yours. I think that's the main thing, is to figure out what your priorities throughout the day are. So for me personally, it's a sense of accomplishment, good food, personal time, and socializing. And I think you'll be able to like look back on this episode and see those 4 priorities really come into play, in terms of like my spreadsheet and my washing up is my accomplishments, and good food at lunch and breakfast and dinner with Christian. My personal time in terms of my crafts and going on walks or reading, whatever it may be, journaling, and then socializing with my friends, with my boyfriend, all of those kind of things. So maybe your priorities look a bit different. Maybe yours is exercise, or I don't know, I have no, recycling, whatever it may be. Like, what are your priorities throughout the day, and how can you make those a bit more special? So is it like you need to buy a nicer workout mat? Do you need to buy a new outfit? Do you need to make a killer workout playlist? Do you need to buy a cute recycling bin? Like, what can you do to make that moment or that part of your day which you prioritize throughout the week more interesting or a little bit elevated? It doesn't have to be anything crazy. You can definitely like work your way up, and there are things you can do like crafts and DIYs and things where you don't necessarily have to spend any money. You can figure out fun ways to do it yourself. Maybe it's just rearranging your room to make it better, or to help suit your priorities a little bit more. But yeah, there are definitely a lot of fun extras you can add into your space or your routine that will just make it feel special. Some of my favourites have been new mugs, or mugs that I really, really love, fun playlists, pieces of artwork if you have like postcards you want to put up, or maybe you make your own art, which I did and printed out to hang in my lounge. It was just something a bit more special. Something handmade I think is super special, whether it's a crochet cardie I've made or the pen holder that I was talking about. I think a good book is so important because you spend a lot of time reading books, and if you do enjoy reading and being kind of away from the screen a little bit, I think making a list of books that you want to read, or getting some recommendations from friends, seeing if maybe your parents have a book they can lend you, is a really fun way to have a social interaction as well as kind of get a good book that you can read from it. Whether it's like something as minimal as like a cute keychain, you know, you use your keys every day, why not have that experience spark a little bit of joy because you have a funny keychain on there, or you made a keychain that's on your keys and you and your best friend have matching ones or whatever. Like, you can make that moment a bit more special. Whether you have a fun ringtone, like I said, I switched out my alarm tone in the morning. Maybe you want to switch out your ringtone. For certain people have dedicated ringtones, or there's a song you really love that you would like to hear when your phone rang. If it's just a clean space, which I enjoy more than I reflect, because quite often my space is hella messy, like my desk right now, but I really enjoy starting the day off with a clean space. There are so many like small things. They don't have to be huge, like going on a wine tour in the south of France or meditating for 4 hours at a retreat every day. No, like none of that. All that romanticizing stuff seems like nonsense to me, because you have to be at such a place of privilege to be able to implement those. And actually being able to romanticize your life can be so much more accessible to so many more people if it's just broken down a bit more, because all of those things added up. I can go to bed at night knowing I've had a really great day, and each moment of my day has been intentional and a bit more special than it could have been. And I've lived life the other way. Like, first year of uni, I did not do any extras. I was saving every penny I could. Like, I was stealing toilet roll from restaurants. Like, that's how cheap I was living. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would just not spend any money. I did not need anything fancy. I was just living to the bare minimum. But I can tell you, my first year of uni was the worst mental state I've ever been in. And obviously there were other factors besides me having a cute mug that led to that. First years of uni are always hard. There's a lot of change, so it was a big transition, I guess, for me and like my headspace. But the fact that I didn't have any of necessarily those home comforts or things that made my days special, because it was a lot of the same, like I only had 8 hours of lectures a week, meant that I was just in a bit of a rut, and I didn't feel good about myself. I didn't feel like my days were special, and I knew I could be enjoying them more. So slowly over the years, like that was like 3 years ago now, maybe 2, I've implemented these things. It's not necessarily something you have to do all at once, but maybe just step by step figuring out like, oh, I'm going to buy a special teaspoon to mix my tea with. That will just elevate that experience a tiny bit more, and it's something you do maybe multiple times throughout the day. Just think about those things, see what you can come up with. But they're all my romanticizing tips. I've really been enjoying using them, and I really wanted to make this podcast because I heard an episode of What We Said, which that is my ride or die podcast. I love that podcast so much. But they did an episode about romanticizing their lives, and they live in LA. They've got a bit more income than I have, I suppose, and just some of the things I couldn't really relate to, and I just thought there were like a lot of easier ways like the everyday person could perhaps implement some things to romanticize their life a bit. But saying that, maybe you're sat at home thinking like I'm talking complete nonsense and actually I'm just a bit out of touch. But hopefully I think there are some things in here you can take away and implement into your everyday. Should we do a little life update? Why not? I've got a few more minutes of my lunchtime. I can chat to you a bit longer. In terms of the life update, if you're watching this on YouTube or you follow me on YouTube, you will know that I recently dyed my hair blonde, and I'm using quotation marks because in no way, shape or form is my hair currently blonde. I went to the salon on Saturday that just passed for 4 hours, and I spent a lot of money, and I really wanted to be blonde for summer. I'm definitely blonder. I got a balayage with kind of like goldy blonde, like highlights or streaks put through it with the balayage. So I definitely have lighter hair, which I do think I'll really enjoy throughout summer, but I just thought I was going to be like really blonde, like my whole head of hair was going to be blonde. And I had a bit of a meltdown over it because the transformation was not what I thought it was going to be. But I documented the whole thing on my YouTube channel. But that's been the biggest change for me recently, is spending a lot of money dyeing my hair. It was a huge thing. I was so nervous beforehand, and rightly so, because it did not work out. But I'm trying to love my hair and try and figure out new ways to style it. And I've been getting compliments on it from my friends and family. Bear in mind, they're probably a bit biased and they want me to feel good about myself, so they're going to be telling me compliments about it, but it's making me feel a little bit better, which is nice. In terms of this week, I have got some very exciting things coming up. I don't know if you know, but London is kind of, or the UK is kind of coming out of lockdown. So in England, we're able to meet up with 6 people in an outdoor space. Bars are now serving alcohol again, and I don't think there's a restriction on when bars can close. That might be wrong, but as far as I know, bars are open. Obviously outdoors with social distancing and everything. But that means I have some fun plans coming up. And when I say fun plans, I mean I'm going to 7 different bars in 1 week, which is a lot, I am aware. I'm going to be doing all of my precautions, don't worry, but I'm also so looking forward to it. I mean, I missed out on nearly a year, of bars and pubs. I'm 23, living in London. I live really close to central London now. Like, I want to be making the most of it, and I have some really good friends living nearby, so I'm really excited to be able to meet up with them. So in terms of tonight, we're meeting up with one of Christian's friends and going out for a drink somewhere. I don't know where it is, but it's kind of nice weather today, so I'm excited for that. Even though it is a Tuesday, I'm going to go grab a pint somewhere. And then I'm going to Brixton Courtyard on Thursday with some of my girlfriends for a drink or two. And then Saturday and Sunday are the big hitters. We've got bottomless brunches and 2 bars afterwards, I think. Or maybe 1 or 2 bars afterwards. So I'm going to try and cram in as much as I can in bottomless brunch and then kind of pace myself throughout the day. I obviously don't want to get too drunk too early, especially because I haven't been drinking much recently. But I do want to get my money's worth at the bottomless brunches. So maybe I'll have to put a limit on myself. I feel like 4 or 5 is a good limit for a bottomless brunch. I'm sure some people could do a hell of a lot more than that. I know friends who've done 12 in a bottomless brunch, but I just know that's not going to end well for me, especially if I've got 2 bars afterwards, and my friends can be bad influences, we can all get a bit merry, which is so fun, but can also be very dangerous. So I'm going to be having a lot of fun with that. I've planned out all of my outfits. They're super cute. Head over to my Instagram if you want to see them in action at ambergtaylor. But yeah, that's kind of all I've got planned for this week. It's going to be a really fun week, one that I haven't had in so long, so I'm going to really try and be super present and in the moment for it and just enjoy spending time with my friends and spending a bit of money. So yeah, I hope you guys all have a fun week planned ahead. Whatever you're doing, maybe you can add some of these tips and tricks to make them a bit more special, whether it is like, I don't know, using your favourite bag which your friends think is a bit ugly, or I don't know, wearing some fun socks, or just like fun underwear under your outfit which no one knows about but only you do, and you just feel a little bit more cheeky and glamorous. There's just so many ways you can like elevate your day. So I hope you've enjoyed this podcast episode. If you have, please go ahead and leave a review over on Apple Podcasts. It just allows people to be able to find this podcast as well, and it's just so fun to read through your thoughts. If you did want to ask me any questions or had any other tips or things you wanted to share, you can go and do that over on our Instagram page at To Be Candid Podcast, where I share some behind the scenes and fun bits on there. So hopefully I'll speak to you next Tuesday. Bye.